tell you a little bit more about us. We'll move on to a live demonstration and follow that with a brief question and answer session. So Brian, could you move ahead to the next slide?
Sure, 1 second. There we go.
All right, so Google Apps launched in April of 2007. 1 month later, in May, Dido was founded as one of the original resellers of Google Apps. The platform's grown exponentially since then, and I think about 5,000 new companies are signing up every single day. Here at Dido, our team's exclusively dedicated to Google Apps. We've helped companies ranging anywhere from 1 to 20,000 users smoothly transition to the Google Apps platform. We've also helped hundreds of companies in various industries, including retail, manufacturing, business services, construction, education, you name it. So our primary services can be broken down into 4 categories. First is deployment. So we help companies migrate from a wide range of legacy systems. So this can include Microsoft Exchange 2003, 07, 2010, Zimbra, Lotus Notes, GroupWise, you name it. A part of deployment includes integration. So just a few years ago, BlackBerries were ubiquitous across the corporate world. Nowadays, more and more companies are instituting bring your own device policies, and we can help them easily integrate Google Apps into their mobile devices. We'll also help with CRMs, unified communications, as well as devices such as fax machines that have the ability to send email, for instance. And also change management. So one of the things we're really proud of here at Dido is our change management and training services. Technology is always changing, and regardless of whether you continue with a particular platform, users are always going to have to be brought up to speed on new features, functionality, or releases. And of course, if you move to Google, we can help your users fully adapt and take advantage of the power of Google Apps. Next is development. So we have a top-notch development team here at Dido. We can work with you to create workflow processes that might be unique to your organization, as well as help you customize your intranet. We're not only partners with Google, but Google's also a customer of ours. So a couple of years ago, Google came to us to build their Google Partner Connect intranet portal. It's used by over 6,000 partners worldwide and over 50,000 users. And if you're in IT, I'm sure you're familiar with the O'Reilly books. The head of our development team is actually the author of the Google Apps script book from O'Reilly. So if you're not in IT, they're basically the white books on your IT guy's desk with a picture of an animal on the cover. Next would be support. So after you're fully deployed, we have support services we can offer. We can proactively engage you to be sure that all your users are completely happy and satisfied with the transition. We'll answer any of your questions. We can set up screen shares, walk you through them, and we'll always let you know of any coming changes to the platform before they happen. Next slide, please. All right, so this is a great slide. It's an example of the constant improvement and innovation within the Google Apps platform. So when it launched in 2007, Google Apps was $50 per user per year. And that only included Mail, Calendar, and Docs. And if you fast forward to 2012, you can see how the offering has expanded. It's maintained the same price point all along. I think last year alone there were over 185 improvements, and the prices remained unchanged. Next slide. So what's included? So Google Apps really encompasses a number of different productivity and collaboration solutions. So the suite includes Gmail for Business, comes with 25 gig of storage per user, great search functionality, of course. Google Docs and Drive covers documents, supports over 25 different file types, and allows you to store, edit, and share them in the cloud. Google Talk, it's just as easy to use as Gmail. It's the instant messaging and voice feature. Groups and Calendar makes it really easy to share calendars both internally and externally. And Google Sites, it's a user-friendly web tool. It can be used either to set up external web pages or also as an intranet solution that allows individual users or admins to create collaborative pages. slide. All right, so why go Google? I really feel there are three primary advantages to making the switch. So first, it's simple and affordable. So you're not going to have to spend time and money maintaining servers dedicated strictly to email. You're not going to have to worry about hardware or software upgrades or security patches or maintenance. You'll always have the latest version, and you're not going to have to wait 3 years or what have you for the latest release. Second would be mobility. You'll have the ability to access your data from anytime, anywhere, or from any device. So not only do you have the power of Google Search to find old emails from your cell phone, it goes beyond mail. So for instance, if you have sales reps who are on the road, they can access all their files, product specs, or more from their mobile device. Third would be increased productivity. So with Google Apps, companies can increase productivity through real-time collaboration in the cloud. Google Apps enables users to simultaneously edit, share, as well as collaborate on documents. And we'll give you an example of that as soon as we get to the demo. All right, next slide. All right, so here's some basic examples of some various companies who've already made the switch. You can see companies large, like Motorola, Genentech, as well as small to mid-sized businesses, a lot of publishers like The Onion even, as well as schools and universities. So I think 2/3 of the top 100 universities in the U.S., according to U.S. News and World Report, have already made the switch to Google Apps. All right, next slide. All right, so we wanted to share a success story of one of our customers, but unfortunately the video doesn't really come across that well in the webinar. So we can shoot you out a link afterwards if you'd like to learn a little bit more. But basically, just to highlight one of our customers, YogaWorks, they came from a hosted Exchange environment. They had about 500 users, 24 locations across the U.S. They were getting tired of the high cost of hosted Exchange. They were frustrated by the downtime involved. We were basically able to lower their IT costs by about 60%, as well as provide the Google SLA guarantee of 99.99% uptime. And since then, they've experienced an increase in productivity by employees using multiple tools like chat, video conferencing, as well as collaboration in real time. So I think that's it for the brief overview. I know we're trying to move quickly, so I'll hand it over to you, Brian, and we can get started with the demo.
Thanks, Dan. For those of you who joined the webinar a bit later, my name is Brian Burchnowski. I'm the head of change management at Dido. So basically coordinate all of our training and change management activities. And what we're going to do for you today is just a little bit of a demo here to give you an idea of what a day in the life of a Google Apps user is like, essentially. So I have a Gmail account here. Accessing this account is very, very simple. Essentially, you would just navigate to mail.yourdomain.com. So in this case, we have it's Dido LLC, so it would be mail.didollc.com. I enter my username and password, and I can access my account. And every business is really unique, structurally, culturally. Every business has unique workflows, but one thing that most businesses have in common is that they do require clear and effective communications and collaboration between their various employees and sites. So this demonstration is basically going to focus on the collaborative aspects of Google Apps. And let's assume that I'm a typical end user. We've made the transition to Google Apps, so we'll take you through a day in the life of. Before we get started, though, one more thing that I would like to call out here is that as you may notice, I am in the Chrome browser, and this is how I'm accessing my account. Google Apps is a web-based application, which means that I can access my email, my calendar, my documents, contacts, what have you, anywhere, anytime, on any device. This actually works very well with a lot of companies who are moving to a bring-your-own-device strategy. As Dan mentioned earlier, BlackBerries used to be very predominant, although now, employees tend to have their own preferences around mobile devices, sometimes very strong opinions. So a lot of companies are shifting towards a bring your own device strategy, and Google Apps definitely accommodates that. Android, iPhone, iPad, BlackBerry, all of these are compatible with Google Apps. And it allows your employees to be very, very mobile. So essentially, for all I could be sitting on the beach right now with my toes in the sand on an iPad delivering this presentation. That's actually technically feasible, although sadly that's not the case. Although I would like to mention that I have in the past joined meetings from aircraft flying across country. So that's also pretty amazing. So we'll get started here with the demo. This is again a typical looking Google Apps account. One of the big differences that we'll notice right away, or that most users tend to notice, is the amount of storage space you get from Google Apps. Now, this is actually just sort of a demo account, so there are not very many messages in here, but every Google Apps account has 25 gigabytes of storage. So right now I'm using just a very small amount, but to give you a better example, my quote-unquote real account, I have about 16,500 emails stored in my account, and I'm at about 8% utilization of my available space. So I don't know, for sure, but I'd hazard a guess that if you are in an Exchange or say Domino environment, you probably don't have 25 gigs of storage, at least not for every user. Maybe for some VIPs you'll make an exception, but very rare that would be the case for every user. So right off the bat, it's a great advantage, and this is all stored in the cloud. You don't have to mess around with PST files. You don't have to worry about the file being too big, possibly potentially corrupt and not being able to access your data. You don't have to worry about servers crashing, laptops being lost. Everything is right at your fingertips. And so, users have, and myself included, had a natural inclination to delete messages. However, this vast amount of storage space allows you to simply archive them within your email account rather than delete them. Which brings me to another point, and that is, how do you keep track of all of these messages? So what you see here are some examples of labels in Gmail. Labels are another great feature. And I know this is organization. I promise we will get to collaboration in just a minute. But I just want to point this out. Labels are a great feature of Gmail. They're sort of unique. Functionally, they serve the same purpose as folders, but they do have several advantages. One of those advantages, as you can see here, is the ability for you to apply multiple labels to a single message. You can also delete labels, and you're not actually deleting the messages themselves. So, rather than a message being in a folder, you have a label on a message. So you can actually delete those, and the messages they remain. Another advantage is you don't have to remove a message from your inbox. So if there's something you'd like to follow up on, you can simply drag and drop a label like this to your message. And then when you are ready to get rid of it, you can simply check it off like this and hit archive. And there's something in Gmail called All Mail, which we can see right here. And All Mail is basically your archive. So what we're looking at here is all of my messages, and you can see there are really only about 1,100 in this account. Again, it's a demo account. But you can access all of these easily, either using the labels that you've applied or by searching for the messages. So a very, very handy tool when it comes to organizing messages. Another thing that Google Apps can really assist you with is just keeping track of your day. One thing that you can do through Google Calendar is you can set up a daily agenda for yourself, and you can have that agenda sent to you. It's typically sent around 5 in the morning. So hopefully that's prior to the start of your workday. So let's take a look at one of those. And there really aren't that many events on on this date, but there are 2 here. So a 7 a.m. meeting and another meeting at 9:30 a.m. And it's interesting how tied together all of these applications are. if I click on this link here, I can pull up my calendar, and it takes me right into the event details for that calendar event. So if I need to be reminded, who's attending, or if I need to make changes, I can access that right from this daily agenda. So very, very easy. If there were any event attachments, I would be able to access those as well. So there's a tie-in with Docs, and we'll see an example of an event with an attachment here in just 1 second. So let's say I, hypothetically in this situation, I have a meeting this afternoon, and I just remembered, I forgot to make the final preparations on the document I need for the meeting this afternoon. So we'll get into our collaboration example now. So let me see. I think this is the meeting in question. No. This one. So we have a review here, and we can see the attachments. The other thing I could do is I could click calendar here in the upper left-hand corner to open my calendar. I could see that on today's calendar. If I click on the event, I can access the details here. So here's my attachment. So let me pull open this document. And again, hypothetically, this is the document that I need to present this afternoon to my boss or whoever it may be. So my coworker, or the person who is helping me with this presentation, is our colleague Steve. So we'll demonstrate here how easy it is to collaborate with Google Apps. Every document has its own unique URL. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy that, do the good old Control-C. I'm going to go back to my email account and find Steve in my chat list. And if I paste this, well, let me send him a message first. So I'll send him a message, and then what I'll do is I'll just paste that document link right in there. So Steve doesn't even have to look through his files for that document. He can click on that link, and he can open that. And we'll actually see him replying here. If I wanted to, I could also voice or video chat him as well, since I have a mic and a webcam on my laptop. And we can see that Steve has joined or opened this document with this status bar here in the upper right. And notice that you can also chat within the document, so you can sort of go back and forth. And every person, in this case, there's only one person who's helping edit, but every person is assigned their own unique color. So as people make changes to the document, you can see each person. You can see their cursor. And notice that we can see Steve in real time updating this document. Another thing that I can do is I can actually add comments here. So if I select a cell, if I go up to insert, I can insert a comment. And so, Steve can see that, and he can reply to that. He can mark it as resolved, and so on. So very easy to track changes. There's also a revision history here. So if we go to File, I can look at the revision history for the document. So I can always revert to a previous version. So Google Docs, it makes it very easy to collaborate on documents, and to give an example of how great this is. Steve is actually in real life in the Washington D.C. area. I'm in Western Pennsylvania near Pittsburgh, so we're not even in the same office right now. We're a few hundred miles apart. So it actually works great, especially if your business consists of multiple locations. Another great thing about this is you don't have multiple versions of each document floating around out there. So everyone has the most up-to-date document all the time. So as soon as someone makes a change, that change is reflected across the board for everybody else. And so that's Google Docs. Let's see if Steve has anything else to say to me here. So we see Steve is typing. And this is actually really great. This whole instant messaging that built into your email account, we lean very, very heavily on this at Dido since we are a distributed workforce. So we tend to IM and also video chat each other quite frequently. So Steve's asking for some files for our Acme presentation. So I'll give you another example of how easy it is to collaborate with Google Docs. I'll get those files sent over to him. So to get to my Drive, I can navigate back to email here. We see the universal navigation bar. I can click Drive, and I can just pick and choose the documents that I need to send to Steve. And all I have to do is go here to More, and we have Share. And I can put Steve. I can put his name in here. I want him to be able to edit those documents as opposed to view only. And I do want him to get an email notification. So it's as easy as that. Steve now received an email with a list of these 5 documents, and he can open any of them and make changes. Another great thing that that we can do here is, an alternative is I could create a folder, and if I move those documents to that folder, let's say it's these 3. If I move those to the Acme folder, I can actually share the whole folder out with Steve in the same manner that I just shared those documents. And any documents I move to that folder in the future then inherit those permissions. So I don't even have to go in and share them each time. So this is a great way to share a folder with your entire team. So instead of using like a network drive, you can do everything within Google Drive. So one last thing here, one last part of the demonstration, I'll go ahead and I'll create a meeting so that Steve and I can review these documents a bit later in the week. So I'll go back to my calendar, and I have I can view Steve's calendar here. I can see when he's busy. So I'll go ahead and I'll pick a time. We'll say 10 a.m. tomorrow. Hit Create Event. Go in here under Guests and add Steve. If I could spell correctly. So I've added his name here, and all I have to do is hit Save. Now because it's a different domain, it's saying that it's warning me this is an external guest. Are you sure you want to invite the external guest? Yes. Go ahead and send that invite. So that's all there is, to looking at someone else's calendar, trying to determine a time when they're available, and sending out a meeting invite. So very, very easy. All of these tools are tied together and very easy to use. And they definitely boost, productivity, efficiency, collaboration, especially among employees who are distributed. So if you have multiple locations, this is amazing. It's not to say that it's not also amazing if you're in the same office, but it makes a huge, huge difference for employees who are geographically distributed. So in this case, change can be a very good thing. I've actually really enjoyed using Google Docs and Google Apps. I think it's a vast improvement over my my previous job. We used Lotus Notes, Domino, which was, I thought, less than ideal. So, appreciate everyone sitting through this presentation, the demonstration. I hope you found it useful. I hope it gave you an idea of what Google Apps is like day to day. I'll open up the floor now to any questions that anyone may have. So, notice there is a question pane that you can use on the GoToWebinar interface. So you can ask a question, or you can raise your little virtual hand, and we can unmute you if you have a mic. We'd be happy to take your question verbally as well. So one question that came through is, can I share Office Docs as easily as you showed with Google Docs? So that's actually a very good question. You are able to convert documents from one format to another. So let me get back to my drive here. I can upload files in any format, and one thing that Google Docs allows you to do, it gives you the choice to either retain the original format or original, properties of the document that you're uploading, or convert that to a Google Docs format. So let's say I have a a Microsoft Word file on my computer. When I upload that to Google Docs, I can choose to leave it as a Microsoft Word file and not do anything to edit it. And I can then at any time, if I would like to convert that to Google Docs format, I can go ahead and do that. I can also download a document. Let me see if I can pull up a document here. So this is actually, so this is an example of a spreadsheet. But I can show you here a download as. So you have the ability to actually download this in a different format. So Excel, PDF, CSV. So that's for a spreadsheet. If you have like a Word style document, you can download that as a PDF, MS Word format. So a lot of flexibility there. A question from Glenn is there any integration with Microsoft Active Directory, company's address book in the Exchange environment? So yeah, you are correct. There is actually integration there. There's a tool called Google Apps Directory Sync. It's basically a one-way sync tool. It looks at your AD at some regular interval, usually every 24 hours. And then what it does is it will sync the Google side, your Google Apps side, to match your Active Directory. So, if obviously you probably have some amount of turnover in your users, so you're constantly adding or removing accounts. So any changes you make in AD, this tool, we call it GADS. It will, look at your AD and it'll make those corresponding changes in Google Apps. So it actually provisions and deletes users automatically. And obviously, it's more complex than that. You have a lot more granular control over it. That's sort of an oversimplification. But yeah, there is a tool that allows you to do that. In fact, most companies coming from an Exchange environment with Active Directory who have more than a handful of users use that tool, just to save their sanity, essentially. It's actually a really excellent tool. So that was a good question. Another question is, if I have users who won't adopt the web interface, what are my options? There is a tool called Google Apps Sync for Microsoft Outlook, and it allows you to use Outlook as your email client. So basically you have Google Apps in the background, but this tool basically syncs your Google Apps account with Outlook. So for all intents and purposes, you can compose mail, organize mail, use your calendar in Outlook, although the back end is actually Google Apps. So that's another option. Obviously in that situation you would still have to maintain those licenses for Outlook, but you could get rid of the Exchange element. So those were excellent questions. Do we have any other questions from anyone else on the line?
Brian, this is Megan. How are you?
Good, Megan. So I guess let me introduce, this is Megan with Dido. She is the head of our marketing department. So go ahead, Megan. Sorry.
Hi, and before everyone jumps off, I just wanted to announce the winner. We are giving away a Nexus 7 tablet today, and it looks like the winner is Glenn McDevitt with Levi Restaurants. So Glenn, I have your email here, and I will send you an email for your shipping address. Thanks.
Thank you, Megan. Congratulations, Glenn. So you'll have a new device to play with there. So again, congratulations. And do we have any other questions before we wrap up today? I know that we have gone over a few minutes. I don't want to hold everyone up. Okay, well, I don't see anything else for right now, so I will go ahead. We'll go ahead and wrap up the presentation. I do appreciate everyone joining us and the excellent questions. So I hope everyone sort of walks away from this with a little bit better idea of what Google Apps environment looks like and what Dido can do for you when it comes to implementing Google Apps. So thank you very much, and I hope everyone has a great afternoon.